It's going to be impossible to fit Russia in a 10-minute video and all the things that I did there. I was there for nearly 5 weeks and I visited two cities, St. Petersburg and Moscow. But I'm gonna try. I'm probably gonna miss something, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna be honest. So before I went to Russia, I didn't know what to expect. Like, I don't really research the countries I go to before I go to them. I just let them surprise me. I didn't know if St. Petersburg would be like a big metropolis or whether it would be like a village feel to it. I didn't know if they would have Wi-Fi. I'm ignorant, and I have no problem in saying that. That's why I travel even. And you can't know everything about every country in the world. That's impossible. But I went with an open mind and I was really surprised about how fucking huge St. Petersburg is. I'm not even gonna go into talking about Moscow at this point because Moscow is even bigger. But it's super, super busy, hectic, cars and noise everywhere. It's different, like it's very different. I'm not talking about the alphabet, because I learned the Cyrillic alphabet and I could read the words, and a lot of the words are actually similar to English. So, I definitely recommend it. It might seem useless, you'd be like, oh, I can read the word, but I don't know what that means. But then, like, supermarket, for example, is supermarket, just written in the Cyrillic alphabet. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Something that is very interesting about traveling. Before I went there, I would think of Russia as being like a place far, far away that maybe I would never go. I would not relate to them in any way whatsoever. But then I went and you go like, this is a place like any other place. And that's what's magical about traveling. It's realizing that you've got so much more in common with other people than you think. Especially St. Petersburg is very European. And I know, for fuck's sake, I know that Russia is so much more than St. Petersburg and Moscow. So we need to talk about a place called Bulochka. I spent a lot of time in the hostel when I was in St. Petersburg, and I was paying for the hostel this time. I decided to take a break from volunteering. I think that's healthy sometimes. And it was dead cheap. Like, I paid £140 for a month in a very good hostel in St. Petersburg. But I did also spend a lot of time at Bulochka. I would go to this place every single day. And this place is basically a place where they sell pastries and, like, desserts. And I didn't know that. Maybe you know that. But, like, Russia makes amazing pastries and amazing dessert. I tried so many delicious things. Like, they have this cream. It's a white cream that they put inside some of the pastries, and it's everywhere. And it's not very sweet, but at the same time it's got a flavor to it. It's delicious, and it's so cheap as well. Like, you'd go and have a million pastries and pay £2. They had also like savory food, which was very good, like the pierogis. I learned how to make them at the hostel. You can have them with meat, but this one was with eggs. And another thing I really liked about St. Petersburg, you have like the normal architectures of the buildings, like some of it quite communist in a way, like quite squared and like concretey. But then you have the Russian architecture, so you'd be walking down the street and then it was like a normal buildings all around you, and then you turn around a corner and then there's this huge temple with golden domes and marshmallows. Is it weird that I look at these buildings and they look edible to me? The St. Basil's it's not St. Basil. Yeah, St. Basil's Cathedral looks like it's made of chocolate. It must be my stomach speaking, but doesn't it look like it's made out of chocolate? Look at those bits there. It looks like it's delicious 80% dark chocolate. And then all the colourful bits look like marshmallows and sweets. I also went to Moscow, as I said before. I took the night train, so it's basically a train where you sleep in it. So it's like having a hostel on wheels on tracks. It's not very spacious. You're like on each other's faces all the time, and it's not. I felt a bit claustrophobic. It wasn't a great experience. Went to Moscow for about 4 days. It's 9 hours on the train. So yeah, Russia is not, it's not easy to travel within Russia. Everything is very far away. But I had another one of those moments, and this happened a few times during the trip, where I would be standing somewhere and looking at something and be like, fucking hell, I'm here. This is one of those moments in the trip where you're like, I can't believe I'm here. I'm in the Red Square in Moscow. What am I doing here? How did I end up here? What is happening? And I love these moments because sometimes, especially when you've been traveling long term, you can get a bit, you're not as impressionable as you are at the beginning of the trip. Like you become a bit used to seeing touristy spots, you become a bit used to like different cultures. It's nice to have these moments to remind you of how amazing your life is, and how amazing these places are as well. I went to St. Petersburg in October, so it was autumn. It was between 5 and 0 degrees most of October. When I left in early November, it was getting like, it was snowing every day, and it was getting a bit like crazy. So I wouldn't go during winter, because even for me, even in autumn for me, it was sometimes I was like, I can't be asked going out of the hostel because it's going to be freezing. But it's a beautiful look. Like the town looks so beautiful with the leaves falling and the orange everywhere. It is a really nice look. I also met a really nice person when I was in Russia. Her name was Daria. I wonder if she's watching it. Hi, Daria. Um, and I was just sitting in the lounge in the hostel, and then she came up to talk to me, and she's a photographer, so she offered to take some pictures of me. And then the next day we went to a town called Viborg, which is near the border with Finland. But it was nice seeing this other side of Russia. Like, it was a smaller town. There was a lot of people from Russia traveling to this place, but I don't think I saw anyone speaking English. So the underground, or like the train stations, however you want to call them, in St. Petersburg, first of all, they have a very good system, and it's so cheap. So you can go everywhere by tube, by train, by metro. And the stations are like so different, and they all have like a different style. There were so many. I didn't film them all because I didn't know if it was allowed. That's the thing about Russia as well. There's so many cameras everywhere, and so many people, so many like security people watching you. Like some of the stations you walk in, you have to, if you have a bag on you, you have to go through like x-rays and stuff. And I remember at the bottom of each escalator you had a security person like watching people. It was probably fine, and my Russian friends who are watching this are probably gonna go like, he's so stupid, you could have filmed it. But I was a bit concerned because of the amount of like surveillance that there was in Russia. Right, I'm really frustrated that I only have 10 minutes to talk about this beautiful country that is Russia. I can safely say that from all the countries I visited in my first year as a nomad, Russia was my favorite. It was the one I definitely want to go back to. I don't know if this year, or probably this year, I hope so. Especially it's easy for me because I don't need a visa to go to Russia. I tried and show you the things that like stuck with me mostly. Do visit Russia if you can. I know that for Brits and for other nationalities it can be a bit harder to get a visa to go to Russia, but if you can, do it, because it's such an amazing country, and it's so not what it's portrayed, and I'm not even surprised that that is the case. The information we get about Russia is so different to what you see when you get there, and I know that being a white woman is a bit of a position of privilege, that maybe if you're gay or if you're black, you might not have such a good experience, but still experience it, so you can talk about it from a point of view of someone who has been there, if you want to. Like it's always better to have a perspective, a first-hand perspective, so you can judge that place from your own view rather than just repeating people's opinions. And that's why I am going to the Middle East, because so many people talk about it, usually negatively, and I'm like, I want to see it with my own eyes, especially being a woman. I want to know what it's like. I will get a perspective from a tourist, but I want to know what it's like to be a woman tourist in the Middle East. Next video is the last one, and we're gonna go see the Northern Lights in Norway.